nervous because I'm here now.
Hey guys, welcome to the episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell here with my co-host Glenn Martin. Really excited to talk about camp, the recent updates, current events, things that are going on, keep you informed about your Ravens. So I'm going to let Glenn go ahead and kick it off, and we'll get rolling.
Sure. So while there were some reports that the Ravens were going to cancel practice due to the social injustice issues going around the country, they decided instead to alter their practice. So instead, as John Harbaugh said, that the team had a quote, full day of work today. They had position meetings. They had the 90-minute walkthrough. So they had a full day's worth of work, and they did release a statement regarding all the social injustice issues going around the country. So if you are at all, concerned about that or, want to check it out, go to their website, ravens.com, or their app, and you can find it pretty much anywhere. But as far as to what happened on the practice field today, the one kind of surprising thing is Lamar Jackson finally threw an interception. It took till his ninth practice to throw one to the other team. And it looked like it was a pass that was tipped originally by Chuck Clark, and then it found its way into the arms of Malik Harrison, the rookie linebacker of Ohio State. So 9 practices ain't bad.
No,
right?
not at all. Old crunchy peanut butter.
That's
Getting
right.
his hands on the ball. Really happy to hear Malik Harrison. I know he's got to feel good about getting that pick. Nice to hear that. I think Chuck batted down, or he got his hands on 3 balls today, which is awesome. Really good to hear. So I mean, that's great news. Now, on the other side of the ball, not so great news. Yes and no, because J.K. Dobbins coughed up the Ravens' first fumble in camp.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was the first fumble in camp is good.
Yeah.
The fact that J.K. coughed it up, weirdly enough, I'd rather that it was Mark, because Mark doesn't have a fumbling issue for the most part. And so
does this worry you at all? Does this make you think?
A little bit. It concerns me. I was watching a highlight video. As I mentioned before, JK won me over because he's a vegan. So I was looking up some stuff on YouTube by him talking about being vegan, and I saw a highlight video of him at Ohio State. And there was a play where he got lucky. It got stripped out of his hands. The ball bounced off the ground, right back into the bread basket, and he took off down the field. So, but
convenient. Right.
That was concerning to me. And then hearing that this morning just might be bad timing. Hopefully he doesn't have a fumbling issue, but a little concerning.
Well, I mean, it's concerning only that, pretty much every NFL head coach, that's their biggest pet peeve, is putting the ball on the ground, especially if it's unforced or if it's due to carelessness with the ball. So that would be a quick way that we could see, everybody's kind of predicting that Dobbins is going to shoot his way right to the front of the running back room and get the bulk of the carries pretty quickly. Certainly a fumbling issue would put a halt to that and get Gus and Mark back on the field pretty quick because, you can't give the ball to the other team, but it's also kind of good that it happened in practice. That way it's a teachable moment, coachable moment. They can get to him and maybe have him carry the ball around the facility or something like that all day, and his teammates can try and knock it out. But it's good to get it out of the way early. We don't want to see that in week 1. Of course, we don't want to see fumbles anytime, but if it took till the 9th padded practice to see the first fumble and the first interception, that's pretty good for the offense. Yeah. So let's give the defense a little confidence.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's one thing that your boy doesn't do. Gus does not let that football touch the ground.
No.
And I will call JK out for one other thing that was really funny that just popped in my head. They had a short video of the day in the life of JK as a Ravens in like camp and stuff like that before they got together. So this was just all like the Zoom training and stuff. And they do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for the players. And he got to the $1 million question. The question was, where did John Harbaugh go to college?
Oh, it's Miami of Ohio, right?
Miami of Ohio. And they said, so you're talking about he thought he got confused between Jim and John.
Okay.
At that time, I don't think he realized that Jim's name was Jim and John's name was John.
They were just Coach Harb.
Right. And so he picked Michigan and was super confident and everything else. And $1 million question, wrong. So I'm sure JK
– He got to the $1 million question.
Yeah.
That's not – hold on. Let's just say it should have been a harder question. Every diehard Ravens fan knows – where John Harbaugh, only because he's been, getting all these accolades from the school. I think they got
a statue of him. They rubbed it in his face and said, hey, they got a statue of John Harbaugh at Miami, Ohio. So you might want to get that one right.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. Now, some other, we're flip-flopping back and off from offense and defense. Anthony Averett on the defensive side of the ball, unfortunately, went off the field gingerly. I guess he did walk off under his own power, but he was walking with some trainers. So that's a little concerning. I think there's another injury. Nagging injury on the offensive side of the ball as well with Fluker.
Yeah, it looks like he's dealing with some sort of a back issue. He didn't practice on Thursday after he was laboring and showing some back pain on the previous practice. So hopefully this is just a flare-up and something that'll go away, and they're just keeping him out for precautionary sake.
Yeah, no, I hope the same. But the one good thing is that, the next man up mentality is real.
Yeah.
And apparently Tyree Phillips is having a really strong camp, really having taking advantage of the opportunity of guys being out and showing out. So that's great news, because we thought, and I still think this is the case, but I think that you and I, Glenn, thought that he was going to have to build a lot of runway in front of him, take a lot of reps before he got to the point where, he was going to be a starter. Not that he wouldn't get there, but based on the fact that he only played 1 year of high school and then, went into JUCO and then into D1 football, he doesn't have a lot of reps under his belt.
Right.
So that's great to hear. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly any number of guys that could go in and fill in, certainly for a camp day, but also it looks like there's some depth there if need be on game day as well. So you talk about a guy like Powers has been around for a season. Obviously, Tyree Phillips and Bredesen coming in this year, which both had great college careers. But, yeah, I agree with the Tyree Phillips sentiment. I mean, especially considering it looks like he's going to be making a transition in position also from tackle to guard. So a guy who already doesn't have a ton of experience, now you're making him change positions as he's moving up to the next level. It's certainly a big step, but I'm optimistic that Fluker, obviously after we hear John after practice, it doesn't sound like it's going to be an issue going forward, and it's just more precautionary. So, hey, let the young guys get some work. I don't think Fluker needs a ton of reps. This guy's been around the league for a while. He knows what he's doing. So, yeah, get another reason to get some young guys some work.
Yeah, I tell you what, you brought up a name that I think is interesting because Ben Powers, I really wish for his sake, I wish Mo would have drafted a more impactful guy. Mo.
I got you.
The card is in the NFL Hall of Fame. Such a awesome moment for Ravens fans. Yeah. And I think Ben is just, I don't know if he's ever going to put in any meaningful game day reps for us, because I think that Tyree is already getting more pub. Like, he's already getting more headlines. And same thing with, I haven't heard a ton about Bredesen, but I'm acting under the assumption that for some reason in my mind, Bredesen has already jumped him on the depth chart. Now, that's just me in my mind.
Right.
But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to what happens to Powers, because he's kind of been pushed down on that chart. At least I think so. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, it sounds like they're trying to find a spot for him, giving him reps at center and guard.
Until he throws the ball over the quarterback, snaps it over the quarterback's head.
That's not that. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. I mean, these guys are supposed to be able to snap the ball like it's breathing. I mean, it's supposed to be second nature to them. So if he's throwing balls over the quarterback's head, mind you, our quarterbacks are some big guys. So if you're throwing the ball over Lamar's head, who's 6'2" and can jump and has got long arms, that's not the best snap. So. No, I mean, it looks like the coaches are giving him every opportunity to win a job, and if he can't do it, then he can't do it. But the good news is he's still a young guy. He's still got years before the Ravens have to make a decision on him, at least one more year before the Ravens have to make a decision on him. So let's just hope he gets better. But moving in behind those guys, it looks like the Ravens brought in a new running back to help this depleted room right now. They signed BYU running back Tyson Williams.
It had to be BYU, dude. Of all schools.
Why is that?
It had to be BYU.
Why,
because I'm from the University of Utah. I don't like BYU, okay? It's the Holy War. I don't like them. They can –
But your wife went there.
Yeah, but still, I don't like it.
All right.
Not a fan.
The only reason he's there, we expect, is, of course, just to be a camp body with the injuries to Justice Hill and Kenyon Barner. But like we've said in the previous video, once you get that opportunity, you really never know what could happen. You can always take advantage of it. So maybe Tyson will, turn some heads.
Could be the next Gus Edwards.
Hey, I bet people would have laughed if we would have said that what Gus has done to this point. If we would have predicted what he's done as an undrafted guy, they probably would have laughed. So
yeah.
I'm rooting for him, but it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows? Maybe, I'll just say this. For all you Justice Hill fans out there, you might get mad at me right now, but he might be able to contribute about as much as what Justice did last year. So, just saying. You talked about Lamar throwing his first interception. I think something else worth noting is that the defense definitely won at practice today. Lamar, RG3, and Tyler Huntley all threw picks. Which is important because for the defense's sake, it's got to be hard to go against the number one offense every single day. for that defense to win a day is like equivalent to winning 10 days against a normal offense, right? So I think that's really exciting for them. Really great news for us because we want to be a well-rounded team, and I'm not concerned about the offense at all. So I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped about that too because we've been hearing a lot of days where the offense has been winning. We've been, like we said, no picks until today. That's not something I'm sure the defense was happy about. So, I mean, look, when you see these highlights in camp of the offense scorching the defense, remember, that's your defense that they're scorching too, okay? That's not just good on the offense. We want to see the defense make plays too because iron sharpens iron, as Coach always says. So, yeah, I was pumped to see that the defense had themselves a day today and maybe humbled the offense a little bit and get them back to work. Not that they weren't before, but one body I was pretty happy to see come back to practice today is Eli Wolf coming back to the tight end room, a thin tight end room, and we just said iron sharpens iron. He brings another guy that's competing for that job. It's going to help make Scarf better. It's even going to help push Andrews and Boyle to new heights with anytime you're bringing more competition. So I'm happy to see Eli's back, and it wasn't a serious injury because I think there was some uncertainty on the seriousness of the injury at first. So it's good to see him back. No,
absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I'm excited to see what he can do because there were some positive news about him early on, in camp. And so I'm excited to see what he can do. The other thing that you mentioned is that so far all injuries that have been reported are deemed short-term. So they're going to be back next week, which is what I look for every day. Everyone loves to dominate the headlines and things like that. But at this point in camp, it can be pretty good to be low key in camp because that means that there haven't been any devastating injuries. And I'm going to knock on wood here, but sometimes it's nice to see none of our players trending on Twitter, right? Yeah. So, I mean, other than Earl, of course, he was trending on Twitter. Yeah. But for injury reasons.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because, look, you look down not too far in Philly, Brandon Brooks, their star guard blows his knee out, and then their first-round pick from last year, the tackle, tore his pec, or I believe his bicep. So, boom, they just lost two of their best and definitely two starters. They lost their left tackle and their left or right guard. I mean, that's devastating before the season even starts. And when you talk about Carson Wentz and the injury, the issues with injuries he's had, I know he's got to be a little frustrated.
Yeah, good thing. Did they retain Jason Peters on a 1-year deal, or did he go somewhere else?
They did, but they were the intention was to move him inside the guard to help there with the injury to Brooks.
He's going to have to go back out to left tackle.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I guess he's going to have to go back to the left tackle.
Yeah, I don't think there's a better option. At least they have that insurance policy, right?
Yeah, but again, that's a guy who's been battling injuries, and he's 36, 37. Yeah. But the good thing is the Ravens, although obviously the preseason has been canceled, they will be holding an inter-squad scrimmage at M&T Bank Stadium on Saturday afternoon. So that'll be nice to get some reports to see who's winning those battles because I'm sure we're going to see a lot of ones versus ones, but also twos versus ones, threes. It'll be nice to see how they match them all up. And hopefully, as you said, we come out clean because that's the most important thing. Get through camp healthy and get to week 1, take on the Browns.
Absolutely. As we creep closer to week 1, we're now 10 days away from roster cutdown, which is a big deal, especially with opt-outs and with injuries and stuff like that. It's become a little clearer, but there's still some big decisions to be made. I feel like we have about 80,000 running backs on our roster right now because every day we're signing these new running backs that are also special teams guys and everything else. So there's going to be some decisions that will have to be made. We're going to put out a 53-man roster prediction show coming up, so make sure to stay tuned.
Yep, and then come on back and we'll talk soon. See you.